I constantly see people struggling to make meaningful long-term improvements in their posture and movement capabilities because they don't understand this one key concept that can help align the entire body. Now, what this thing is called is the zone of apposition. Now, that's a fancy term for something that just represents the area of the diaphragm within the lower part of the rib cage, that space, and its role in normal inhalation and exhalation mechanics. Because as I will describe in a second, a lot of postural issues are being caused by or being heavily influenced by a lack of proper diaphragmatic function. Normally when we inhale, the diaphragm should be able to move downwards as it contracts, which is going to open up space for the rib cage to expand. These ribs are going to move forward, these ribs are going to move back, and you're going to get some expansion laterally as well. This is going to synchronize with the action of the pelvic floor, this lowest part of the pelvis right here, also dropping down. And then as we exhale, the pelvic floor should ascend synchronously with the diaphragm also ascending and moving back up into more of this resting dome position that it should normally be in. Now, when we get a proper exhale, the ribs move from a position where they're flared to more of a position where they're down. And they're in this position, which is internal rotation of the rib cage. This internal rotation of the rib cage is paired with the pelvic floor rising. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a stacked position of the rib cage over the pelvis. And that's also going to involve the head as well. But if we struggle to get a full exhalation, then what's going to happen is we're going to be stuck in this hyperinflated position. Hyperinflation is referring to a position of the rib cage that's stuck in inhalation. So these lowest ribs right here are going to be moved out and flared. The head's going to be pushed forward, and usually the pelvis is going to be in this open scissor position as well, where it's in a little bit of this anterior pelvic tilt. Now, this is someone that cannot achieve a full zone of apposition and exhale because they're stuck flared here. They can't get to here throughout the day because they lack the ability to get the diaphragm into that normal resting domed position. So if these ribs are flared out and away and the head is being pushed forward, now when we breathe in, our diaphragm can't fully move into an inhaled position because it can't start from a position of exhalation. Muscles need to be able to stretch and contract, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to kick on other muscles to help us get the job done. Most notably, that's going to be our neck. Remember, in this hyperinflated position, the neck is forward like this and the ribs are going to be flared. Now, that means that the neck is in a position where the front neck muscles, which are accessory or secondary muscles of inhalation, they're going to kick on and help us try to inhale and elevate our rib cage more because the diaphragm can't do its job fully. Now, we are going to be constantly pushing air into our belly because that's the path of least resistance. This is where that zone of apposition concept comes into play. Until I get the ability to get a full exhale and bring these ribs down, I'm not going to be able to actually get a proper stack of my head over my rib cage over my pelvis. And this is a more neutral position relative to being in that flared position. So hopefully you can see that getting this zone of apposition is the key to getting neutrality in the body. And there's a way that we can do that. We need to cue a full yet relaxed inhalation and exhalation. There's specific ways that we can do that. So we gotta first start by understanding what that feels like. To set up for this, we need to be in this position with our knees bent and our low back up against the wall and both feet are flat. We need to make sure that the knees are in line with the feet and the hips to the extent at which is realistic for us. And the most important thing is we are feeling our sit bones on both sides of our pelvis. Those bony protrusions in each butt cheek, we need to be feeling those on both sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reach forward with both arms, just keeping our arms slightly outside of the knees. If they're touching, that's totally okay. And what we want to do is now exhale through our mouth like we're sighing all the air out, nice and long for about 5 to 10 seconds. As we do that, we're going to peel off the wall a little bit more, but we're still feeling our sit bones and the low back is still flat against the wall. As you finish that exhale, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and slowly inhale through your nose, maintaining the tension that you get in your abs at the end of that exhale. And then you're going to exhale again, all the air out, nice and slow. Slower and longer is better than short and shallow. And you're going to feel those side abs at the end of the exhale and maybe a little bit of front abs, but mostly side abs. And you're gonna maintain that reach as you inhale through your nose. So you're gonna feel all this space between your shoulder blades and spine open up like crazy, and it should feel pretty good. But again, longer and slower inhales and exhales is better than going really forcefully. That will allow you to get more side abs than six-pack engaged, because your side abs are muscles of exhalation, your six-pack is not as much. And it's worth mentioning again, by far, the most common mistake on this is people are going to sit up as they inhale, because people don't want to open up their backs with air. They're so used to pushing it forward into their belly. We need to make sure as you inhale, you are maintaining the reach, if not trying to reach just a tiny bit further. That is the biggest key on this exercise. And the last most common thing, again, this is really important, is that when people reach, they're going to really forcefully inhale and shrug their shoulders. I should not hear you inhale, but I should hear you exhale. That is the general key here. Make sure your shoulders are not shrugging and they're staying out of your ears. And the last thing we want to mention is if you're feeling a hip flexor cramp or pinchiness in the front of your hips, there's no harm in moving your feet slightly further away to have more comfort in that position. Just make sure that your foot is staying as flat as it can on both sides. Now, breathing is such a fundamental part of my approach because it sets everything into a position of more neutrality, so that way we can move in and out of whatever positions we want to. But if we're stuck in a position where we're like this, we have much less movement options available to us. This is so important that it is almost always the first thing that I coach someone that's new in my gym to do if they're struggling with pain. And it's also the very first thing that we do in my beginner body restoration program. So if you want exercises that build upon the foundation in this video, then go check out that program. Now, some people are going to need more of an external object to blow into in order for them to understand what a full exhale looks like, because I promise you, many people watching this video do not know what a full exhalation feels like. So using this external object can really give you a sense of that. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. And we're gonna hold the balloon in the mouth with the left hand. We're going to exhale through our mouth and get all the air out. And as we do that, we're gonna feel ourselves peel off the wall and flex more, and we're gonna feel our abs engaged, particularly on the side at the end of that exhale. We're going to hold that, put the tongue on the roof of the mouth at the end of the exhale, and we're gonna keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth as we inhale. And then we're going to exhale again, keeping that right arm reach. Now the goal is to maximize the pause, the amount of time between the exhale and the inhale, with the tongue on the roof of the mouth before you have to inhale again. You don't want to go to the point where you're stressed, but you want to do how comfortably can we go before we feel like we have to inhale again. It's going to maximize the amount of expansion you get in your back rib cage. And we're going to do this for 3 breaths or potentially 5 breaths, but probably 3. And then we're going to let the air out of the balloon at the end of the last inhale, and then we're going to go again. The biggest mistake on this is that people are going to shrug their shoulders into their ears, either with the hand that they're holding it in or with the arm that they're reaching with. So make sure that you're not doing this. Your traps are nice and relaxed, but you're still getting that reach. The other thing is that people are going to be too close or too far away from the wall, and they're not going to be feeling their sit bones. So Trevor can demonstrate what it looks like if you're too close, and then you're going to be kind of extended, and you're going to feel like you're not able to peel off the wall effectively, or they're going to be too far away and they're going to be slouched like that. So make sure you're feeling your sit bones, your mid to low back is in contact with the wall, but your upper back will be peeling off. If you're struggling with the balloon, you could use a straw, and you can do the same exact thing. So you can hold it there, you can reach with the right arm, and then you can just get a full exhale. So that's a little less external load or resistance, as you can think of it, and that will still cue you to get a full exhale. An alternative position you can do this in is in a side lying position with about a 90-degree angle at both your knees and your hips, and making sure that your shoulder is stacked over your hips. You're not rolled too far back or too far forward. You're right, nice and even right there. And you can do the same exact thing. I would also recommend that you have some support underneath your head to allow your cervical spine to be neutral, so you're not cranked here or too much support and you're here, nice and neutral. And then do the same exact thing. Exhale through the mouth fully. You're gonna feel your side abs engage. Pause, tongue on the roof of the mouth, extend that pause for as long as you're comfortable. Keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth as you inhale through your nose, and then exhale again as you take the tongue off. I would recommend practicing this in sets of about 2 minutes. Ideally 6 minutes a day would be a great total amount of time. You can break up those sets throughout the day. 10 minutes would be even better. So this is the foundation. Until it gets in place, it's hard for us to get a full, truly, genuinely neutral position of the body. But you'll notice that once you actually get this and you train it well, you should feel more relaxed and a little bit less tense throughout your entire body after that set.